Daf Yomi Tractate Sanhedrin, page 81a, top of the page. Sanhedrin Daf Pei Aleph, Amin Aleph, top of the page with the words Lo Tema. Lo Tema Le Lavu Chachi. Do not speak to your father in that manner. Titania Hare Shehaya Aviv Over Al Divrei Torah Lo Yomar Lo Abba Avarta Al Divrei Torah Ela Omer Lo Abba Kach Kativ Batorah Sof Sof Hainuhach Ela Omer Lo Abba Mikra Katuv Batorah Kachu. Do not speak to your father in that manner when you tell him directly that he is mistaken. Rather, raise the matter in a circumspect manner, as it is taught in the Braita. In a case where one's father was violating Torah matters, he should not say to his father, "Father, you violated Torah matters." Rather, he should say to him, "Father, it is written so in the Torah." The Gemara asks, ultimately, isn't this formulation identical to the previous formulation? In both cases, he embarrasses his father. Rather, say to him, "Father, there is a verse written in the Torah, and this is what it says." Tell him the halacha or the verse in a way which is not obvious, that relates to the action that his father performed. I mean, even so, that would still probably be the same thing, but apparently they feel this is a good compromise. Anyway, okay, new Mishnah. Mi shenischayv b'shtei misois bezdin nidon mechamura. Avar averish nischayv b'shtei misois nidon mechamura. Rabbi Yomar nidon bezika harishayna shebalav. The Mishnah says, one who is liable to be executed with two different court-imposed death penalties, as he violated two different capital transgressions, is sentenced to the more severe form of execution. If one violated one transgression, for which he is liable to receive two death penalties, for example, if one engaged in intercourse with his mother-in-law, who is also a married woman, he is sentenced to the more severe form of execution. Rabbi Yossi says he is sentenced to the form of execution that he is liable to receive due to the first relationship that came upon him. Meaning that if she was his mother-in-law before she was married, he is executed by burning. If she was married before she was his mother-in-law, he is punished by strangulation. Okay. The Gemara says, Pshita ela li'itgore itgo. Ela itgore itgo. Right, the question. With regard to the ruling in the Mishnah that one who is liable to be executed with two different court-imposed death penalties is sentenced to the more severe form of execution, the Gemara asks, isn't this obvious? Rather, would you say that he would profit from the fact that he violated a second capital transgression to receive a more lenient punishment? More lenient punishment? Rava hachi b'mayaskinan. כגון שעבר עבירה קלו ונגמר דינוי על עבירה קלו וחזר עבר עבירה חמורה. So כדאי זכמינה כיוון דנגמר דינוי על עבירה קלו היי גבר כתירה הוא כמשמלון. Rava says, with what are we dealing here? We are dealing with a case where he violated a relatively minor transgression punishable by a less severe form of execution, and his verdict was issued for the minor transgression. And then he violated a major transgression, punishable by a more severe form of execution. It could enter your mind to say, once his verdict was finalized for the minor transgression, the legal status of this individual is that of a dead man, and anything that he does thereafter is insignificant. To counter this, the Tana teaches us that he is liable to be punished for the subsequent transgression, and if it is punishable by a more severe form of execution, he is executed with that form of execution. By Minavu, the Rabbi Yosef Bar Chama, Midrab Bar Nasin, Mena Hamilsa, Damra Bonan. Bishnischai Shtemi, so is Bezdin. Nisa Mechamuro, Tichsiv, Yehoilid, Ben Paris, Shofech Dam. Vegoino. El Horim, Ochal Neshes Reyehu, Ochal. The father of Rav Yosef Bar Chama asked of Rabba Bar Natan. From where is this matter of that the sages stated it derived? One who is liable to be executed with two different court-imposed death penalties is sentenced to the more severe form of execution. Rabba Bar Natan answered, it is derived from a verse as it is written, and he begets a violent son, a shedder of blood, who does to a brother any of these. And he had not done any of these, for he has eaten upon the mountains and defiled his neighbor's wife, has wronged the poor needy and is taken by robbery, does not return collateral, and has lifted his eyes toward the idols, and has committed abomination. Ezekiel 18:10-12. Yehoshua ben Poritz shofech dam. B'sayif. Eseish Israel time zuesh ish bechenek. El gelulim nasoinov zu avodah zarah b'skila. Ksiv mois yumas domav ye boy ye b'skilo. This interpret that this verse in Ezekiel chapter 18 is saying he begets a violent son, a shedder of blood. This one is liable to be executed by beheading with a sword. Defile his neighbor's wife. This is engaging in intercourse with a married woman, for which one is liable to be executed by strangulation. Lifted his eyes toward idols. This is idol worship, for which one is liable to be executed by stoning. And it is written thereafter, he shall be put to death. His blood shall be upon himself. Ezekiel 18:13. Which means that he is executed by stoning. It appears that one who violates several capital transgressions is executed with the most severe form of execution for which he is liable. Maskif lo Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok Ema kule b'skila v'hoilid ben poret shofech dam ze ben soirer me'er b'skila eish z'chev v'timei ze na'ar me'er also b'skila. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak objects this and say all of the transgressions listed in the verse are punished by stoning. How? And he begets a violent son, a shedder of blood. This is a wayward and rebellious son who was executed by stoning. Defiled his neighbor's wife. This is engaging in intercourse with a betrothed young woman, for which one is executed by stoning. Lifted his eyes toward an idols. This is idol worship, for which one is executed by stoning. Imkein makamash velon Yecheskel Dilma Torah kamal hader Imkein ibayele lahadore yeheched hade Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara answers, if so, according to that understanding of the verse, what is Ezekiel teaching us? According to the first understanding, a new halacha is derived from here, but according to the interpretation of Rabbi Nachman bar Yitzchak, there is nothing novel. The Gemara rejects this contention. Perhaps it is the halachot of the Torah that Ezekiel is reiterating, admonishing the people to fulfill the directives of the Torah. The Gemara answers, if it is so that this was Ezekiel's intention, it would have been necessary for him to reiterate the halachot in the manner that Moses, our teacher, reviewed it, employing the same language. The fact that Ezekiel diverged from Moses' formulation indicates that he sought to teach a new halacha. Okay. The Gemara cites a homiletic interpretation that Rav Acha, the son of Rav Chanina, taught. What is the meaning of that which is written? He did not eat upon the mountains, nor did he lift his eyes toward the idols of the house of Israel, nor did he defile his neighbor's wife, nor did he approach a menstruating woman. Ezekiel 18:6. This cannot be understood literally, as refraining from performing these transgressions is not sufficient to characterize an individual as righteous. He did not eat upon the mountains is an allusion to the fact that he did not eat due to the merit of his fathers. Rather, he relies on his own merit and righteousness. Nor did he lift his eyes toward idols of the house of Israel as a reference to one who distanced himself from anything similar to idol worship, to the extent that he did not walk with upright stature, typical of a haughty person, as haughtiness is typical of idolaters. שלא יהיה לאונס חברו ואל איש הנידה לא יקריב, שלא נהנה מקופה של צדקה, וכתיב צדיק הוא חיו יחיה. כשהיה רבן גמליאל מגיע למקרא הזה, היה בוכה, אמר מן דאביד דכולהו הוא דחיי, בחד אמיני הוא לא. Nor did he defile his neighbor's wife. This is an allusion to the fact that he did not infringe upon another's trade, thereby compromising his livelihood, nor did he approach a menstruating woman. It is an allusion to the fact that he did not benefit from the charity fund, even if he was needy. And it is written with regard to one who refrains from these actions, he is a righteous man, he shall live. Ezekiel 18:9. The Gemara relates, when Rabban Gamliel would reach this verse, and kept all my statutes, has performed them, he shall live. Ezekiel 18:19, he would cry and say, it is one who performs all of them who lives. One who performs all of them, no, he shall not live. Or one who performs one of them, no, he shall not live. Okay, Amar Rabbi Akiva, אלא מעתה אל תטעם בכל אלה הכנמי בכולו אחד מיני הוא לא אלא באחת בכל אלה הכנמי באחת בכל אלה. Rabbi Akiva said to Rabban Gamliel, is an attempt to console him. If that is so, the term all is understood as in that manner with regard that which is written in the forbidden relatives in the Torah, do not become defiled with all these, Leviticus 18:24. Would you also say that there too, one who is in violation of all the prohibitions, yes, he is punished, but one who is in violation of one of them, no, he is not punished? Rather, clearly, all of these means in violation of all of one of these. Therefore, here too, the verse in Ezekiel, and has kept all my statutes, means that in fulfillment of one of all of these, one merits eternal life. Avravera Tanya Kesed Amar Rav Yossi Nidam Bezika Rishoina Ba'alav Chamois V'nas Eishes Ish Nidam Chamois Eishes Ish Nises Chamois Nidam Eishes Ish. The Mishnah teaches if one violated one transgression for which he is liable to receive 2 death penalties, he is sentenced to the more severe form of execution. Rabbi Yossi says he is sentenced to the form of execution that he is liable to receive due to the first relationship that came upon him. It is taught in a bride how, meaning in what circumstances does Rabbi Yossi say that he is sentenced to the first relationship that came upon him. If this woman was a widow or divorcee when she became his mother-in-law, and then she became a married woman, and he engaged in intercourse with her, he is sentenced to execution by burning for engaging in intercourse with his mother-in-law. If before he married her daughter she was a married woman, and she became his mother-in-law, he engaged in intercourse with her, he is sentenced to execution by strangulation for engaging in intercourse with a married woman. Amar le Rav Ada bar Ahava Rove Chamois v'nases eishes ish nidam chamoisoi. Rav Ada bar Ahava said to Rava, if this woman was a widow or a divorcee when she became his mother-in-law, and then she became a married woman, and he engaged in intercourse with her, is he sentenced to execution by burning for engaging in intercourse with his mother-in-law? Lidon nami isur eishes ish deha amar Rabbi Abahu mode Rabbi Yossi b'isur mosif. What is the halacha let him be sentenced for violating the prohibition of a married woman as well as Rabbi Abahu, who says Rabbi Yossi concedes in the case of an expanded prohibition. Rabbi Yossi holds that generally a prohibition does not take effect where another prohibition already exists. Nevertheless, when the second transgression is an expanded prohibition, meaning one that incorporates additional people into the list of those whom for whom the list of individuals are forbidden. Rabbi Yossi concedes that since the second prohibition applies to others, it takes effect concerning the person included in the first prohibition as well. Here too, the prohibition of intercourse with a married woman is expanded as it applies to everyone and is therefore more comprehensive than the prohibition of intercourse with his mother-in-law, which applies only to her sons-in-law. Therefore, according to Rabbi Yossi, he should be punished also for violating the prohibition of intercourse with a married woman.